With a master's in food business degree from the prestigious Culinary Institute of America, Jason Wallace, a former executive chef restaurateur, is an innovative restaurant operations scientist. Wallace's client list reflects all genres of food service, including startups, quick service, full and limited service restaurants. Wallace's educational seminars for leadership development have been attended by prominent restaurant companies. As a food service educator, Wallace has served as a professor and guest lecturer at the New York Restaurant School, the Art Institute, Hudson and Westchester County Colleges. Wallace has been an active member of the New York State Restaurant Association, which was established in 1935, holding various leadership positions, including treasurer, vice chairman of the board of directors, and in 2010, Wallace became the first African-American chairman of the board for the New York State Restaurant Association.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Numbers with the Restaurant Scientist. I am Jason Wallace. I am the Restaurant Scientist, and this is what we do here. So we are in season 3, episode 3, and I am proud to have a gentleman who I've been knowing 15 years.
Probably about that.
Yeah, 15 years. He's legend. He's a legend in our food service industry. His restaurant is named Delta's in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and his name is Joshua Suggs.
Hello. Thank you, Jason.
No doubt. This guy is, man. Let me just lay the foundation. If you ever have that guy that's just like a stand-up, real, open brother, no jealousy, no envy. None of that. Like, just pure good people. That's my man, Josh. What's up, Josh?
Thank you. I will take it, man. I appreciate you, brother. You know, I'm so excited about the thing we're going to talk about later in the hour. So I'm not even going to get into that now. But, man, I'm happy to be on a journey with you. So,
yeah.
But let's dive into where my journey began.
Yep. And how we met, like, so we met, like, you and I met, like, I did a little work for you at one point in time,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
How did we meet? Do you remember? I don't.
Oh, I don't even remember. We were, in need of some consulting, searching for how to improve the business, and somehow we got led to you. You came and helped us reconfigure some things.
Yeah,
and kept the ship afloat. So, appreciate you. Back then, appreciated you. For sure. And, now, like I said, appreciate the future.
Absolutely.
It's going to be even bigger and better.
Absolutely. All right. No doubt. And yeah, it's amazing. I've always, been that guy that just wanted to really help support Black-owned restaurants, behind the scenes. I never was, even now it's hard for me to be on social media. I'm more active now because that's just the time we live in.
Yeah.
But, you know me, man, I just, between Sylvia's and Melba's and Satipani and Boulevard Bistro, Harlem Hops, all my other clients out there, I just always really wanted to be, that behind the scenes support. So nothing has changed. So let's talk about your brand. 24 years, correct? Coming up on 25 years.
That's correct.
Been in business, which is phenomenal. Let's get some round of applause. Because, the restaurant industry is tough. And, for people who've been in business 5, 10 years, let alone 20 plus years, is commendable. Tell us about how you built your brand and your journey, and how was Delta's created?
Wow. So I think Delta's was really created out of my own sort of personality and way of life. I grew up as a party promoter. In 5th and 6th grade, renting out the American Legion Hall, charging kids some money to come to the party and selling all the candy, snacks, and associated stuff. And I'd hire a doorman and pay the hall. And if I left with, $100, I was doing something. So took that to doing the middle school dances, high school dances. Went to Rutgers University to play baseball, and it was tough making the transition from high school to college with the classes and studying. So I quit the baseball team, and then I had to focus on studies. I had more time on my hands. And the next thing you know, I hooked up with a guy and was doing parties all over campus for all the different fraternities, sororities. So I always fancied, being in the nightclub business. I never knew that I would land in the restaurant business. So fast forward, graduated from Rutgers, and I used to carry records in for a lady that DJ'd where Delta's is, the current location.
Okay.
And I helped her, when she was doing parties. I was probably 18 years old. She was probably in her early 20s. And then I fast forward, I had graduated. The restaurant had changed hands from the original owner, and it had changed hands from the original owner, and I went back, and it was now an Italian restaurant. It was dead in the bar area. And I spoke with the manager that evening and said, listen, I used to do parties. Can we do a party? I know a bunch of, post-college folks that are out there looking for somewhere to go. Right. And so one of the general, premises of Delta was that African-Americans needed a nice place to socialize that catered to them. They could come and laugh and joke and dance under their own rules and not have to worry about being in someone else's place. I mean, we were open to everybody, right? But we wanted to be, we wanted it to be our way. So I came back, started doing these parties here. The gentleman came to me one day that owned the place and said, look, your parties are very successful. Do you know anybody that wants to buy the place? And then entered my former partner, Coretta King. And the two of us developed the concept. And, we just literally taught ourselves the business. We used to eat out constantly. We'd go to Houston's restaurant up in Hackensack and learn very early on that, they run an incredible operation up there, and that the restaurant business was all about details, right? And the people that were successful usually were highly organized and managed details very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't highly organized. My partner was way more organized than me. But, she actually was from the West Coast. So she'd grown up in that Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle, Harold and Bell's, vein. We also would go to the Cheesecake Factory out there. And Houston's actually before that stuff was even out here on the East Coast. So she had some notions about Southern cuisine and entertainment. I think Keyshawn Johnson had Rain out there at that time, which wasn't really a soul food restaurant, but it was, an African-American hangout. So, we wanted to create something, for African-Americans out here in Jersey. At that time, you could go to the Shark Bar in Manhattan. But there weren't, there were nightclubs, right? There weren't really, a lot of African-American restaurants. I think, Puffy had his place, Justin's, yeah. Right.
Yep.
So we wanted to bring some of that to Jersey. So, we figured out how to get an SBA loan. Her mom actually had to put down some rental properties that she had as collateral. And our parents gave us the seed money, the 20%, that you need. And, she was willing to do that because we were buying the building. So, we bought the building and the liquor license, from Mike Napolitano at the time, and, began just to sort of figure this whole thing out. I had a friend who was, he wasn't the restaurant scientist, but he was a restaurant consultant, capable gentleman from England, who, worked in hotels and all these different, restaurants and sort of places. So, he helped us sort of develop the plan. And he said, listen, Josh, I know that's a lot for you guys to take in, but, if you, I think you can do it. I think you've got something here with concept and, the other stuff you can learn, I'm going to teach you. And then some of the stuff you're going to learn by just making mistakes and, being able to recover fast from the mistakes. So we bought the building, bought the license, and we opened up under Delta's. I think we had $20,000 to renovate, the inside. My mother was sewing seat cushions and everything else. But, we inherited a great venue that, it had a lot of character. It was an old firehouse, stables, warehouse in downtown New Brunswick. It had a balcony exposed already and brick. So the ambiance was just, incredible. And so we didn't have to do a lot, initially to get it ready. So we ended up opening on December 23rd of 99. Continued to eat at Houston's once a week on our day off and just try to hone the business, try to, hire servers and We went to a wedding where they had a really nice band that I've never been to a wedding like this. The band played during the cocktail hour and everybody was dancing, and they had to tell the folks to sit down. So they would eat, they could let the bride and groom come in. So this band was called One Nation. They played a lot in the city um, at the place called Lola is Soul. So we went to Lola is Soul probably, I don't know, a month after we'd opened and heard them perform, and it was incredible. And just what a vibe and the atmosphere. I don't know if you've ever been there before, but they had the banquettes and it was sexy and black on the inside. And
Mhm.
so we said that night we have to have music. So we started doing music. We got, One Nation would come down from Manhattan perform. We had another group called the Soul Knights that would come down from Harlem. And we started doing live jazz and R&B and
Nice.
really just, building the business. I mean, I think the first year we did $1 million in sales, I think,
Right.
and we just grew the business. We made mistakes.
Right.
We got QuickBooks, but still weren't doing all the kind of review that the restaurant scientists would tell you to do. Right? So just we went to the school of hard knocks on this thing,
Yeah.
and gradually just really began to understand that this is a game of I wouldn't even say inches, like millimeters, right? Where you have to watch all these costs continually, keep an eye on everything, and really manage. This is all about managing a bunch of small tasks.
Yeah.
So we've taught ourselves that. We've made tons of mistakes over the years. It's been 24 great years here. Part of what kind of grew as an offshoot, like when I was talking about my personality with the business,
Mhm.
we really wanted to develop a place that was more than just a restaurant. And I call it the backbone of that Delta's Nation, right? Where people could come in and they didn't have to necessarily eat dinner every night. They could have a drink at the bar, but they could talk and, fraternize and people could socially meet people, right? Because, one of the theories I had at the time was, you're white, name 10 places to go meet somebody. And, they rattle off 50 places you have to stop, right? You say
Right.
you're African-American, upwardly mobile or appearing to be
Yeah.
upwardly mobile, whatever that is, right?
Right.
And you want to
Right.
go meet some people and you really couldn't name anywhere in New Jersey that was nice. So we kind of developed that as our core and
Yeah.
began to grow off of that. And here we are 24 years later. Delta's has been so many things to so many people. I mean, people met, dated, got married, got divorced, got remarried, everything worse, kids,
Absolutely.
so it's been a journey.
No.
So
It's funny you said records, and I hadn't heard that in a while. It's like you used to carry records,
yeah.
right? Right.
The crates, man, the
like
crates.
for those, yeah, crates back in the crates. So you're talking about 24 years worth of legendary location. As you said, yeah, I went to Delta's 20 years ago, and it was always known as that place to go for upscale dining. Actually, really, what it was. And I come from that fine dining world. So when I went, and like as you say, and I've said it in previous shows, it's like, when you look at who we want to grow up to be, it is Houston's. It's Cheesecake Factory, and from a point of business success, right? Not necessarily whether you like that particular cuisine,
Yeah.
type of food, but as a restaurateur, absolutely, I aspire to be
Yes.
a $5 million plus restaurant
Mm-hmm.
with net operating income of north of 10%, right?
Yeah.
And, to develop those types of systems
Mm-hmm.
and repeatable strategies for maximizing profit and ultimately building wealth or expanding your brand.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think one of the best things that happened to us, and I forgot to mention this, Jason, is that we landed next door to the Frog and the Peach, which was, a 5-star restaurant right here in New Brunswick. And at that time, there weren't any other restaurants, right? They kind of paved the way in the early 80s. Jim Black, Betsy Black. I think that's probably one of the things that actually really held us up and saved us. Because as you said, it's not that we wanted to be like the Frog and the Peach, but I just learned so much just about everything, style, decor, food. I mean, we weren't looking to have foie gras and all that kind of stuff, right? But we were looking to upgrade a plate appearance, to have nicer dishes and cutlery and all these kind of things. So it was invaluable, really, being
Yep.
next door, to them. And they had a manager there named Tom, who was also, very instrumental. We would bounce ideas back and forth off of each other and try different things. So,
Yep.
so was it, that was one of the things I think that really helped us. Had we been next door to Burger King or something, I don't know that we'd still be here.
Yeah.
To be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Interesting. Because as we're going to talk about, what's happening in Newark is more restaurants come. It's not competition. It actually brings more,
Yeah.
it generates more revenue and more traffic. And the Frog and the Peach, when I was at the Culinary Institute of America, um, the Frog and the Peach was a place that we all aspired to. Okay, we wanted to see if we can get an apprenticeship there, right?
Yeah.
As an up and coming line cook, sous chef, you want to go to a place like that to get your chops and to understand that level of cuisine. So, like as you said, being next door to that, I'm sure was beneficial to both you and them. Actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, that actually it increased their color base
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure over the years, which has been
Yeah.
something that I think they've always appreciated, the ability to diversify,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. So let's dive right into what both you and I are doing in the city of Newark. First of all, let's give a shout out and much respect to the city of Newark. The entire administration, from the mayor on down, is business friendly. They're encouraging, particularly, us as restaurateurs
Yeah.
to come into the city. We want to thank Invest Newark. We want to thank the New Jersey Economic Development Authority.
Yes, indeed.
And all of the individual corporations, Audible, Panasonic, Prudential, the Prudential Arena, Ironside, Edison Properties.
Absolutely.
All of that. So for those of you that don't know, Newark is the place, right?
Yeah.
Newark is the emerging market that Josh and myself have not only just invested our own money and time in, but we're planting some very strong roots there. And we're going to build collectively a restaurant city where Newark will become a tourist destination and a restaurant town.
Yeah.
And Josh and I have officially put that out to the universe.
Yeah.
We've committed to each other.
Yeah.
And without any further ado, Josh, I'm going to let you announce that maybe people don't know that, what's your plans for Deltas in the city of Newark?
So we are planning one of the, I think probably one of the largest entertainment venues of this sort of type. That's going to include dining right next to Prudential Center. We are in the historic National State Bank building, or former home of the Indigo Hotel, which is now the Indigo Residences. And we have the first floor restaurant, which will be where our musical stage performance area will be. We're putting in pro audio, pro lighting downstairs. So we'll be able to do any kind of act that you can imagine. And we also, we'll have the back line set up that we'll be able to do, like I said, if somebody wants to come over after a show at the Pru, come on over, we'll plug right in and go. So that'll be downstairs. We'll have a cocktail coffee lobby that we're going to be able to do and use for overflow seating. We have a second floor mezzanine area that will have suites of 8 to 10 people. And then we have, there's also a conference room on the second floor that we'll be serving food and beverage for. So you can have meetings and all different kinds of entertainment stylings there. And then we have a rooftop as well, which looks to the east at Manhattan. So we're over 15,000 square feet, pro audio and video going in the whole place. You can come over at 3:00, have food and beverage in your hospitality suite, head down to the bar in the restaurant, listen to some music, and head out to the lobby. You can go over to a show at Prudential, and then you can come back after the show for the after party and go up to the rooftop or back to any of those other spaces. So you'll be able to really come and spend an extended visit with us. Our cuisine is going to be Deltas, but we're going to pivot. So it'll be Southern base, but we're going to look to pivot with whatever's going on at the arena, right? If it's Mark Anthony, we'll have Latin specials, and Latin music, right? Salsa. If it's Caribbean, we'll have Caribbean specials, ackee and saltfish, baked in shark, and, Caribbean music, the stoka and stuff. So we're just going to, really just do a lot of out of the box stuff. Sunday brunches, we're going to be doing a different, musical theme brunches, and just stuff that, a lot of places just aren't going to be able to offer. So very excited about it. We've had major support from the Honorable Ras Barak, the mayor. And it's just everybody up there, Jason, has just felt like family. They've treated us like family. And it's just kind of, I say to myself, like, where have these people been for the past 24 years? I needed them in my life 24 years ago. But no, it's great that they're here now. And, with Jason's concept, we're going to anchor that entertainment district down there. And it's going to be, like Federer and some of these other major tennis guys are just going to be hitting the ball back and forth. And hopefully we'll draw on the big crowds, right? And they can come watch us.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be fun, So I'm excited.
Absolutely. So, Jai, it sounds like you're definitely going back to your club promoter, entertainment venue genius that you started 24 years ago or better. I don't know if people heard, but 15,000 square feet, right? That's a monster. And as he's also saying, like, he is literally right beside the Prudential parking lot where the entertainers come in and go. Like, the VIP area is literally his building. Now, that building is no longer what he said was the former Indigo Hotel, has been converted over into residential.
Yes,
correct.
They're doing micro apartments in there. Yeah, it's, so that's the plan for micro apartments, and we also are working on an Indigo Club membership, which would sort of take Delta's Nation and elevate it to where the second floor would also be, club members would have exclusive access to certain areas. And we're looking at putting a cigar lounge on the 12th level. And we'd have tickets to shows that club members could have access to, because we're going to have a suite at the Prudential Center for all the different shows. So we're looking to really make living in the Indigo residences and Delta's one experience that's sort of connected.
Right. Luxury brand.
Yes.
Luxury brand. I just want to define that for the people that are listening. He is creating a hospitality group that's going to manage and operate all of the food and beverage within this entire building, basically, right?
Yes.
And you're talking about a luxury brand. So for those of us that live in Newark, right? My kids is born and raised in Newark. I've been in Newark 40 years. And, we've been waiting for the city, and it started 2 mayors ago, 2 administrations ago. And the vision has been just carried on. And I'm proud to say, that I'm a resident of Newark, and I'm also opening a space down the street from Josh, literally 1 block away, we got 11,000 square feet of space, brewery, restaurant, bakery component. And as we said before the show, at the top of the show, Josh is not my competitor, right? He's not my enemy. He is my partner. We're going to anchor that end of Newark, as well as establish an infrastructure for the entire city for restaurateurs to come together and get all of the advantages that independent operators really don't get when it comes to buying power, when it comes to consolidating our resources, because he's going to need to hire 70 to 100 employees, full and part-time. I'm going to need to hire 70 to 100 employees part-time. So we're going to bring all of those resources and that energy together, because it's all for the good of the city of Newark, the county of Essex County, and as well as the whole entire state of New Jersey. So Josh, tell us, so let's dive, right? We're behind the numbers with the restaurant science
Okay.
without, giving all of your trade secrets
Okay.
and financials. Let's just talk about what does it take to build, right? Or to renovate in your case. Well, in both our cases, renovation is what it is. Demolition, renovation,
Yeah.
installation, 15,000 square feet of multiple layers, levels of food and beverage. Talk to the people.
Well, so we were very fortunate that we've gotten a space that had great infrastructure. It previously had a restaurant that had a $3.5 million build out. So a lot of the really hard infrastructure that you need, the hoods, a lot of the electrical, a lot of the plumbing is in place. So we're doing a heavy interior renovation. The building owner renovated the second level. So we don't have to worry about that too much. We're making some minor changes. So we're focused mainly on the rooftop and the first floor restaurant, and then the lobby's going to need some interiors, but it's pretty much done already. So, you're talking several $1 million. I'd say between 2.5 and 3 million. But we're also putting in state of the art. I mean, pro sound system, pro audio, pro lighting. We're putting in digital signage. So just a lot of unique boutique stuff. We've got a display going in that's going to tell what time the trains are leaving. When people are in the restaurant, right? Just so you can see, hey, the Northeast Corridor is running at this time. So, one of our side goals is to get people to stay after the concerts and avoid the Uber surge so it's a heavy lift. But this place is going to look beautiful. And we're gonna hopefully be able to make, all of this investment back, quickly,
Yep. Got you. Talk to us about timeline. Where are you in the stage now? Architecture is on board. Like, explain to people what that process is like and where are you in that?
So right now we've got the demo done on the first floor. We're getting ready to put in for our building permits on the first floor. The rooftop demo permit is going to go in soon, and then the rooftop construction permit will go in probably in the next 60 days. So we're looking to be open by September. We're currently ahead of schedule. We may lag. The great thing is that we should be able to have the lobby and the first floor open first before the rooftop. Because I think by the end of the year we'll have everything open.
Everything in place.
Yeah, this has taken 2 years, by the way. I mean, I had to switch designers because they weren't really going in the direction. The first group I had wasn't going in the direction where I wanted to go. Wasn't as luxe as I wanted it to be.
Right.
I'm not an interior designer, but I didn't get the feeling, and I would show it to people, and it just wasn't what we wanted. So we took our time with that. So we're probably a little behind schedule from that standpoint, but it's the timing's worked out perfectly for everything else that's fallen into place for this. So I'm just kind of letting it happen.
And the plan isn't to shut down Deltas in New Brunswick, right? You're going to run both operations?
No, yeah, we're going to run both operations. I think there's a need down here for, what we're doing. It'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of I think when you're here on a day-to-day basis, you worry is there going to be, the cannibalization of your sales here, right? From the Newark restaurant. But I think, there's a lot more people out there in Jersey than you think. Right. And so, but, look, I'm sure there may be some effect. It may have a positive effect on sales, right? Where, you just got more people that even know about the brand, excited about the brand. Oh, you got another place? Let me go check this out. So, I think this is going to diversify our audience even more because we've probably been predominantly African-American. I think this is a good chance to diversify and have some other offerings. So I think, the plan is to keep New Brunswick open. And,
absolutely.
Absolutely. And, we own the building here. So I don't, I don't see a scenario where New Brunswick wouldn't be open.
Got you. Until you get ready to retire or hand it down to kids or family members, or maybe sell the business or the business side, but maybe not the real estate.
Absolutely.
Right. So talk to us about what it's like being a real estate owner as well as being the tenant in your own building. Do you charge yourself market rent? Do you complain to the landlord about the room, things of that nature?
So it's been great. One of the best things we did here was buy the building. we've, been fortunate enough to have it, increase in value substantially since we bought it in 1999 with what's gone on down here in New Brunswick. We charge ourselves, Delta's pays the rent that covers the mortgage. And so from that standpoint, we're not overcharging ourselves. But I think one of the top things I do in the restaurant is I do a store walk every Monday, so you can really go over the facility and stay on top of things and find out if there's a leak. You really should do the inside and the outside. I probably do the outside less often, probably once a month. But it's important to keep the facilities up. It's an important part of the expense of the restaurant. So from that standpoint, I think if I was even renting the building from somebody else, it probably would be a triple net. So I'd probably be responsible for all that stuff anyway. So you might as well own it.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I think in Newark, the landlord will fix, common things, a door that you might share or something. But other than that, you're going to be doing most of the stuff yourself that goes on inside the restaurant.
Got you. So let's talk a little bit. We got about 10 minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about, and now I want to turn into you and I having a conversation with someone who might be looking to come to Newark or looking to sign somewhere else in the country, looking to sign a lease. What type of knowledge nuggets can you drop about lease negotiations? And
okay. So before you even get to the lease negotiation, I'll drop one nugget real quick. And I think I've shared this with you before, but all the listeners should hear this. The first thing I'd ask someone when they come to me and say, Josh, I want to open a restaurant. I say, can you name 10 better places to open? And if the answer is yes, I say to them, you need to go open in one of those 10. And I say that just because,
I love it.
Having a location is, if you can get a better location, you need to go get it, right? Because that's how hard opening and being here 24 years and is to do, right? So you need everything that's going to be favorable on your side. And if location can be one of those things, you have to use that to your advantage. So that's what I tell everybody. So now, Newark is emerging as one of those top 10 places, right? Here in the state of New Jersey, right? And we're not going to compare it to other, all over the country, but I'd say locally here, right? In terms of lease negotiations, we were fortunate enough. I had an idea when we negotiated the lease. We went in and they were asking this astronomical number, $25,000 a month in rent. And I said to the gentleman at the time that we started the negotiations with on this project, guys, there's less than, 0.5%, 0.25% of restaurants that can pay this kind of rent. And this is 5 years ago, 2017, Jason. And none of them are in Newark. I mean, they're just not here. I mean, if anyone agrees to pay that amount of money, what a lot of folks in the restaurant business don't understand is that their occupancy costs go above 10%. And once that happens, there's no money left in the kitty. You're going to start cutting things out or shortchanging people. Somewhere is going to get squeezed beyond being able to survive. So that's an important aspect of going into the leases. Everybody goes in with these bright eyes. Oh, I have the space. We can make it. And then, they find out 3 months later that they can't make it because they were effectively closed right before they even open because they're paying too much in rent. So my approach was to go into the landlord and come up with a percentage number. Let's do a percentage of sales number, right? That will allow
variable lease for those that are out there.
Yeah, variable lease, right?
Yep.
So we'll do a percentage of sales number. We'll have a floor, which is, the landlord's going to want something, right? They're not going to just say, if you don't make any money, we're not going to get paid. But you have a floor that's realistic, that's small to start. And, in our case, it's $2.5 million in sales. And, I knew that was something that we could meet. We were exceeding that already in New Brunswick. In some of this, you have to be willing to bet on yourself a little bit, right? So I bet on Deltas and Josh and said, we're going to meet this number. And so, we did a percentage, 7% of sales, right? Which keeps our occupancy costs under 10. And we did that up to $2.5 million in sales. And then As we got over to the $2.5 million threshold, we moved that down to 4%. So at 5 million, we're going to blend at 5.5% in rent. This will always keep our occupancy costs in line, which is very important, right? Restaurants need stability, right? So this is going to be one stable thing that as your sales increase, your occupancy costs, at least from the rent side, can only go down, even if it's marginally. It's only going to go down once you get over 5 million, right? So, so this is going to allow for sustained success. And I now, as a tenant, have the incentive. I want to say, to Jason, hey, Jason, listen, I just gave the landlord a $50,000 check for rent, right? And then 5 months later, I want to say, Jason, I just gave the landlord, a $60,000 check for rent, right? Because and that's normally most people, most times, no, you want to say you're giving less to the landlord. But the rationale behind it is if you are increasing your rent payments that much, because at a certain point, it's going to be, 5.25%, 5% that you're paying on every dollar, your sales have gone up dramatically. And that $25,000 check that the landlord wanted in the beginning, which wasn't sustainable, now you've put yourself in a position where you've exceeded those payments, and you're doing that. Why? Because your sales are way up. We're not just talking about a little bit up. Your sales are way up. So I think it gives you the room to get in there. The landlord's a partner. They benefit from your success. So I see that in other ways where the landlord's helpful with a lot of different things that landlords may not be, and they're invested in you. So I think it's at least every restaurant should have. I know a lot of them don't, or the majority of them don't, right? But I think that's the one of the keys that we're going to have in Newark to be really, really successful. Will be that lease structure that we've negotiated.
Absolutely. So let me go into my restaurant scientist mode, right? Hidden figures. So he just dropped a bunch of hidden figures to you, right? And let me tell you where he's coming from with this, right? There's 100 pennies in every dollar, right? If 10 pennies on every dollar goes towards your rent, then there's really not enough pennies to 10%, because the goal is for us to keep 10%, right? So if rent is 10% and I want to keep 10%, I'm already at 20 pennies on every dollar. That only leaves 80 pennies left. I haven't talked about food costs at 30%, maybe 28, maybe 35. I haven't talked about labor costs at 30 to possibly 40%. So as you can see, just between food, beverage, and labor, that's called prime costs, you could be at 50 to, possibly 60%. So the hidden figures behind the nuggets that he just dropped are just that. And it's important for restaurateurs to understand, like, if you don't understand this scientifically, then you should come to someone who is an expert like Josh or myself to kind of help you dissect what a good lease or a lease is, a bad lease looks like. So the other part of this is what he talked about is a variable lease. So it's variable, right? There's a direct relation between variable costs and sales. Sales goes up, variable cost goes up. But the absolute dollar value goes up, but the relative percentage value is what remains the same, right? Fixed costs, there's no direct relationship. So when you're in the beginning, so there's roughly 330,000 people in the city of Newark right now. Like, as we said, Newark is an emerging market. That 330,000 people, that density is not dense enough to be paying those types of rents now. Now, as we get 20,000 more people coming into the city, to 80,000 people coming into the city a day that don't live in Newark, but they work in Newark, that increases that density. As more apartments and more buildings and skyscrapers are going up, then the residency will also go up. So now you may have 400 to 450,000 residents in the city of Newark within the next 36 months, right? 36 to 40, 3 years. Sorry, I talk in these terms of months and quarters, right? So now what Josh is saying is his landlord is in the business, is taking some of the risk off of him by allowing him to do that variable lease. You hear me say all the time that landlords in real estate and restaurants don't go together. They try to give us retail commercial leases that are not applicable for restaurants, because a restaurant is a manufacturing plant. We're not retail, right? We're not buying sneakers and putting them on the wall and selling Nikes and Converse and Adidas. right? We're not Dwayne Reed where we're buying pharmaceuticals from other people and we're putting them on the shelf and we're selling them. No, we bring in raw product, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, chicken, seafood, right? Beef. We manufacture it into an end product and we simultaneously market it to the end consumer. So these leases that are retail leases for other retail businesses are not applicable to restaurants. And it's quite frankly a little disrespectful, right? So when you get somebody as knowledgeable as Josh and he knows the difference between a variable lease, on the other side, I don't have a variable lease, I have a fixed lease, but I was able to negotiate it down based upon the same type of scenario that Josh did. So, okay, I can't do $2 million to break even. That's not an option for me, right? You figure if you had a $2 million business, you should be able to make money, right? So, but if my break-even point is at 2 million, that's too high, right? My break-even needs to be at $1 million, maybe 1.5. Then anything north of 1.5, we begin to make a profit. So it is literally, as the podcast is titled, Hidden Figures. And Josh, we want to thank you for dropping those gems and sharing the knowledge and coming to Newark. And, you my brother. I'm just excited for what we're going to do together. And, we got about 3 minutes left. Give us any last comments, questions, concerns, little nuggets that you may want to share with my listeners and viewers.
Oh man, I'm just excited to be here, Jason. And really, I think this is the beginning of a big journey. We're going to forge a great partnership as we begin to really get people into downtown Newark and give them an experience that they're just not going to be able to get in other places. So I'm so excited about it. And I'm excited for, me, Deltas, but, I'm even more so excited for just the customer base, because this is just going to be something that's really geared towards them. And it's going to be something that's going to, let Newark be proud, right? Which is, this is just so exciting. So really excited to be moving forward. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm happy to help. If your listeners have any questions or emails or anything, you can just forward it to me. And we'll keep trying to hit those home runs.
Absolutely. We're good. Let me put it out to the universe right now. Josh and I will eventually partner on some restaurant food service concept in the future.
I like
whether it's Newark or another state or another part of New Jersey. I can guarantee you that, because our energies and synergies and our knowledge just complement each other so well.
Yes.
So, and I got 3 other concepts in my mind right now that I'm going to bring to the city of Newark. I don't have the money yet. I don't have the finance. I don't have the capital, the investors. But that will come. That's neither here nor there at this point. But Josh, I look forward to working not only just alongside you as fellow restaurateurs, but in the future, partnering with you on.
Same here, brother. I look forward to the same thing, and I believe it'll happen. So.
Yep.
Thanks again.
All right. So it's time for me to thank my sponsors: Cornerstone Business Lab, Cornerstone Media, and Cornerstone Productions. Josh, thank you for being a wonderful guest. And until we meet again, thank you very much. My name is Jason Wallace. I am the Restaurant Scientist. Peace.